Hey everybody, and welcome back to Behind the Score Sports. I know I've been absent for a little while since my interview there with Sam Bat, but we're back here again. I've been working on some great things here behind the scenes, so that has been taking up a bit of my time, but I'll get into those things a little later. But if you're from here before, welcome back. If you're new, we invite you all and thank you for joining in. If there's anybody that might not have been into the baseball stuff I've been doing over the last little while, this one might interest you. It's the first hockey one I'm going to be trying here. I know it's set up with the baseball stuff for now, but just give it a go for the preview for the Stanley Cup. I know there's been quite a few games going on already, but wanted to get this preview filmed and out there. This weekend I planned on filming that, but had some other obligations come up there, so get that to you there tonight. So as we look into the matchups for the playoffs, we have a lot of great teams coming in, a lot of great teams that know how to win, have a history of winning. So we'll get into it and look at the preview for some of these series. A great one to start off with would be the Avalanche and the St. Louis Blues. For their series to watch McKinnon, Landeskog. It's going to be a great series. You got St. Louis that has won the cup there, so and then Colorado, which has a history of winning cups back in the great rivalries of Colorado and Detroit. Back in the Patrick Waugh days and Steve Yzerman and Brendan Shanahan. But yeah, with McKinnon, Landeskog, Kadri, they've got a lot of young talent there as well. Colin Mocker, there's two. But this should be a real tight series. Though I do have the Avalanche coming out of that one on top in 6 games, 4-2. But yeah, that's going to be a dynamic one and definitely a big one to watch. As Colorado is one of the heavy favorites to win the Cup this year. And I definitely wouldn't be disappointed if they did win it. And they've worked very hard. They've got McKinnon that is taking a team-friendly contract to be able to build a great team and have some talent around them as well. So to get those pieces in place, they've definitely built a solid team. And Grubauer between the pipes had a fantastic season this year. I actually had him in my fantasy pool. Quite a few shutouts, and one of the top leaders for wins this year. Might have even been tops had he not had his injury there in the bout with COVID. So, but look for him to have a big one there. St. Louis, even though that they did get into the playoffs, I don't see them quite as great as they came out with there when they won the cup. Bennington has had his moments, good and bad, but when it seems to go bad, it goes really bad. So no hits on St. Louis, as some people would say that I favor Colorado over St. Louis, as I'm a Chicago Blackhawks fan, but Um, Doing these podcasts, I try to keep it as impartial as possible, to bring you guys better content, and then truly get true sense of the game rather than picking favorites and targeting one team more than another. But I do have Colorado and their great lines there, coming out on top, 4-2. Next, we'll move to Vegas and Minnesota. Vegas is a team that is competed every year and has been competing every year since their inauguration season, when they joined the league. They got great goalies between the pipes there with Fleury and Leonard. Leonard went to Vegas from Chicago, and disappointing to see him leave, especially afterwards with Crawford, then moving on there, which he went to New Jersey and didn't start the season there, as he chose to retire. It was said that that was due to vertigo issues, and he had suffered concussions quite heavily there in Chicago. But wish him all the best in his career, his life going forward, on a great career there. But getting back to it, yeah, I see Vegas definitely strong between the pipes. They play a physical game. It's a team that can score. They push Colorado all year to try to get tops in that division. Colorado slightly snuck away with it, but Vegas definitely put up the fight there. Minnesota, from watching them for years, especially being a Chicago fan, they're a team that does play really well, especially when they were kind of in the, I guess you could call it, rebuild stage, moving some pieces around. Definitely have been playing well going into the playoffs. But I see Vegas' skill, their goalies between the pipes definitely being the big difference in that series. And I got Vegas taking that one 4-2 as well. I think Minnesota will be able to get a couple there at home, but ultimately Vegas will come out on top. Talking earlier about Brendan Shanahan, that brings up the next series of the Maple Leafs versus Montreal. Anybody like me, well, especially from Canada, this is a great series we've been able to watch for years. Toronto has definitely got a stacked team this year, picking up Nick Foligno, David Rittich there, and just in case with Anderson went down with an injury there at the end of the season. Coming back for the last game there, it's been reported that apparently Campbell is going to get the start there on Thursday. And then you got, of course, Matthews and Marner, Joe Thornton, bringing in his, just basically being a legend of the game. The guy chasing the cup, as we all know, he hasn't won one yet. Being from Ontario, that definitely would be a big thing for him to win it with the Leafs. Then you've got just a whole bunch of talent there. They've got centers, very skilled centers there, very professional players, and definitely have a solid team there. Montreal, it's got quite a few pieces set up there. It's team that can sneak away wins, can beat you in different ways. Definitely got the youth there, so that could play into a factor. A lot of this series, I see it's what's going to come out on top, skill or youth with the speed. But I definitely see it being a series that gets played hard. As everybody's probably seen, Drouin is going to be out, not returning this season. So that's a big blow to Montreal. And as much as I'd love to see Montreal top the Leafs, not picking favorites, but it definitely would be a thing to watch. I have the Leafs coming out on top there. Also at 4-2, I think Montreal will be able to get a couple in there, but ultimately won't be enough to take that series and push it the limits. But it's definitely going to be a big try for Montreal. They're going to come out fast and heavy, and definitely showing that they belong. And if the Leafs get caught flat-footed, definitely this is a team that could beat you, if you underestimate them. So I think they will come out with a couple wins, but I think ultimately the Leafs will come out on top 4-2. That brings us into the next Canadian series. As we all know, is the Oilers versus the Jets. McDavid and Draisaitl there. Can they get it done? They faltered against Chicago in the playoffs last year, ultimately getting a sad ending to their season last year. So they'll be chomping at the bit to prove themselves and show that they can compete with the teams at the top. Winnipeg, kind of playing with a chip on their shoulder. Definitely a rough, tough team. They got a lot of youth there. Missing one piece this year that they had last year with the Laine being traded down to Columbus. Hopefully they will get better down there as well with Laine once he gets into a full season with that team. When it comes to the Jets, though, they do have some youth. They do have some guys that can score. They kind of sunk there going into the playoffs, so hopefully they can rebound and get themselves going again. This one is going to be a tough one, but I actually have Winnipeg squeaking it out in 7 games, 4-3. I like McDavid and Draisaitl, but I just don't think there's enough substance on that team behind them to carry it. McDavid carried the Oilers a lot last year in that series against Chicago, but ultimately proving that he can't do it all by himself. So with that team, I definitely can see them just falling a little bit short, and Winnipeg taking that one in 7. Next one we'll talk about is the Penguins and Islanders. We got Sidney Crosby and Malkin. Jim, as we all know, Jim Rutherford was fired there. They mutually agreed to part ways. It was said that Jim Rutherford was looking to move some pieces to possibly get some other needs to give this team another run. It was said that ownership apparently didn't agree with what he was going to be doing. So he decided he wanted to move on there. But Sydney, they ended up coming back after struggling for quite a bit of the year, especially in the beginning. Jari got off to a very, very slow start there. I actually had him in my fantasy pool to start, got him auto drafted in there. He didn't last in my lineup too long. Once I picked up Varlamov off the pile, which was kind of a big bonus for me that worked out. A lot of shutouts this year. Ultimately, Varlamov, with Varlamov in both of my pools, ultimately led me to gold in both. So I'm number one for the year. Definitely looking to defend that title next season. But and then the Islanders, they got a lot of guys there chomping at the bit to win, especially when it comes to with the Islanders, especially with Trotz, who's won in Washington when they won their cup, ultimately leaving there for the Islanders. So this is a coach that definitely knows how to win, can get his guys motivated. Unfortunately, they did have a major injury to the season, but they ultimately hung in there to clinch that last spot. So it'll be interesting if Varlamov can stay on his game. This is a team that can squeak out some wins. But I'm definitely where it is now, especially Casey DeSmith playing in Pittsburgh as well. This is going to be a close series, but I see Pittsburgh edging the Islanders out 4-3 in 7 games. But yeah, two teams, one that did well during the season, hung in there to get that playoff spot, and another team that started to falter, but coming into the end of the season definitely picked up their game and challenged away in the division and nabbed that top spot. But yeah, I see Pittsburgh edging them out, like I said, in 7 games, 4-3. That moves us to my friend Sean Massacre's favorite team, which would be the Boston Bruins versus the Capitals. This is a big series for many reasons. As everybody knows, Zdeno Chara in the off-season last year moved to Washington from Boston. So it's only fitting that these two teams would meet in the playoffs. They both got skill. They both got top of the league scorers. Their top lines are just magnificent. These are two teams that definitely you see quite a bit of comparisons. Definitely with Pasternak and Ovechkin, with their scoring touch, and definitely some roughhousing with Wilson and Marchand. So this is two teams that know how to get rough, know how to score. So I think it ultimately is going to come down to which goalies are going to keep the puck out of the net most. But I see the Boston Bruins actually edging out the Capitals in 7 games. I think this one will go the distance. It's one I'd love to see go the distance. But Boston ultimately coming out on top. One thing I've noticed over the last few years, Boston seems to kind of get in a bit of a rut going in. But they definitely pick up their roughness or truculence is one other amazing coach and GM would tell you. You gotta have some of that truculence. But Boston definitely has that. I know they're definitely missing Zdeno Chara back there, their big man, but ultimately I don't think that's going to make much of a difference here as the Bruins edge out the Capitals 4-3-7. So we got Carolina and Nashville now. I see these two teams as teams headed in different directions. Carolina a few years ago was the underdog team that people didn't see making a run. And they ended up getting into the playoffs. And they got Rob Brind'Amour behind the bench. This is a team that's really excelled. They got made fun of when they started the surge down there, but they definitely over the last little while have shown that they are contenders, taking the division this year. But for Nashville, I see this as a team that's very quickly heading for a rebuild. They're a team that's been hanging in the playoffs, but I just don't see them having what they used to. They've got some goalies coming up. They got some good young players. Pecorine eventually here at some point will be moving on. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe he's put up for in the expansion draft for Seattle. As we all know, the Seattle Kraken start their first season here in October. That said, this is a team that's definitely is going to have to find some ways to win in this series, especially being against Carolina and them surging. But definitely see Carolina taking tops here. Sadly, I think that the series will also go 4-2. I think Nashville will be able to nab a couple of those by very small margins, but ultimately they will give up that series and fall to the Carolina Hurricanes. And last but not least, the Battle of Florida. We got the Florida Panthers versus Tampa Bay Lightning. For Tampa Bay, as everybody might have seen for game one, that Cooper said Kucherov and Stamkos would be back hopefully for that first game. I haven't actually looked at the games yet because I didn't want to spoil doing this podcast before I seen it, so or before I recorded it, so definitely haven't seen what's going on there, but I see the Tampa Bay Lightning edging out the Florida Panthers in 7 games, 4-3. Mostly in part because of Tampa being winners there, hoisting the cup. This is a team that's got a lot of skill, a lot of power. Nothing against Florida. As we all know, Joe Quenneville, that used to coach Chicago, is there. He's got those guys rolling on all cylinders. Unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but they picked up Sam Bennett at the deadline. He played very well down the stretch. I actually added him to my fantasy pool. Unfortunately, he went on the injured list there near the end, and ultimately had to drop him from the team. But This is a team that definitely is going to challenge Tampa. That's why I have it going the full distance. But I definitely think Tampa, with their winning ways, Vasilevsky and net, who's had an incredible season, tons of wins, has had some shutouts as well. He's really on his game. And I just, from looking at both teams, I definitely see Tampa as having the edge there. But Florida is going to bring it, and they are going to take 3 games out. But I think Tampa is definitely going to edge out there. So as I wrap it up here for first NHL podcast I've done, like I said, no, it looks like the baseball one because that's what I'm got more stuff going on with right now. But hopefully in the fall I can get some stuff to give it a hockey look as we transition from sport to sport. I'm definitely looking forward to doing the NFL in the fall as well. It's going to be busy, but just to kind of recap there, Colorado, St. Louis 4-2, Vegas and Minnesota 4-2, Leafs in Montreal, I have them at 4-2 as well. Trying to think, Winnipeg, have them edging the Oilers. That one I do believe I said was 4-3. Penguins and Islanders. And then we have the Bruins and Capitals. I see that one going 7. That'll be 4-3 there. Penguins and Islanders 4-2. Carolina and Nashville 4-2. And then Tampa Bay over Florida 4-3. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you like any of the podcasts or any of the stuff you see, if you got any suggestions, if you got anybody that wants a shout out or could use one, somebody that's doing very well or struggling in these times, let me know. I don't mind doing that and showcasing other people and just people that do overwhelming excellence. It's definitely a trying time for everybody, so like doing my part to help out as well. Which brings me to the other things I said I've been working on. This one, which was a surprise, I had told some people I wasn't going to look into the NHL probably until the fall and start off with a fresh season, but I thought the playoffs might be a good place to start. So I wanted to do this preview and just kind of keep things up to date as the playoffs go along. We're going to have some great matchups to talk about, so that's going to be well there. Also, big news, I've also joined Clapper now. It's another app that's growing tremendously. It's similar to TikTok. You can do different interesting things with it. You can actually go live right away. You don't have to have 1,000 followers first. One thing I'm going to like about that is I've been wanting to go live in a whole bunch of other places, but unfortunately you need 1,000 followers both on TikTok and YouTube. And being real small, it's kind of limited me that way. So hopefully with Clapper, I can get it out to bigger audiences and catch the eyes of new people and grow this sports adventure. One other big thing I'm very excited about. I know it's not going to be a thing to suit everybody's fancy, but I decided to get into game streaming. I'm going to be doing that on YouTube and also Facebook. If you guys have been to the gaming page, basically it's watching people play video games. It's a big thing right now. Tons of support there. It's another audience base that I know I can do well with and get into and relate with to grow this fan experience, and just to explore anything to do with sports is big thing for me with Behind the Score Sports. Is it's kind of also pretty similar to Behind the Scenes. So basically you've got the sport of hockey and baseball and football, but you've got all the stuff behind it as well. I had the interview with the bat company. There's gaming opportunities. There's opportunities to get into possibly travel and see the ballparks and film some stuff there. Doing some traveling to actually do stuff live from ballparks, so that would be pretty cool. So there's a whole bunch of different opportunities. Basically anything to do with sports is on the table. That's what I enjoyed about calling it Behind the Score Sports, is it has a wide range and a lot of audiences I can tap into to grow this experience. It's one thing I've wanted to do for a long time, especially watching Joe Rogan. I've seen his podcast, and it's like, why am I watching other people when I could be doing my own and something that I enjoy? And I pick sports because that's one of the biggest things in my life. It's definitely a great pastime that I've enjoyed for years. So just looking for different ways to grow, get an audience, and open us up more opportunities to possibly get more interviews. Hopefully along the line get some more sponsors, or well, actually get sponsors, not get more, but actually land some sponsorships and some partnerships. Hopefully, with, like I said, with the gaming, I've got in and supporting a few people there. They're helping me out for what I need to get set up. So I definitely big thanks to them. Thick Armo Gaming, Crean Gaming, and also Revoluso for his gaming channel. Definitely big ones that have gotten me into this and have helped me out in different ways, along with some of their supporters as well. Big one being Corey Tucker. And tonight he actually introduced me to Cody from Thick Armo Gaming. Cody gave me some tips of stuff to look for and agreed to help me out. So I reached out to him with a big thanks there for allowing me to promote, as some people don't allow you to do your stuff on their pages, which is understandable. Kind of both ways. Yeah, it's nice to promote other people, but you also got to look out to your channel as well. But everybody is pretty cool. There's quite a tight-knit community there, so, and definitely a big shout out to Crean Gaming. She's one from here in Ontario, so shout out to a fellow Canadian. I'd love to get together with her to see her set up and see everything that she has going on, so I can see, I have a basis and get a just an understanding of what to do and where to be. But super cool there, and also get into games with these other gamers as well, and build some new friends along the way too. Like I said, everybody's tight knit. There's a big community that go amongst each other's pages there. So definitely look to grow that. I know it might not be for everybody, but I'm trying to reach out to as many audiences as I can to pull people in. And like I said, this is a big thing for the fans. Also helping out other people while helping out myself along the way. Um, it's a big joy for me. It gives me something pleasurable to work on and grow and bring more stuff to you guys that normally might not be readily available or accessible. So I'm going to keep trying my best. Like I said, I'm going to try to get a schedule together and get more consistent with this. But I just wanted to let you guys in on what I've been working for the last little while. I actually got a logo on my pages now, if you guys want to check those out. And my gaming page on Facebook is BTS Sports Gaming. So BTS behind the score, and then Sports Gaming. My other pages as well. The sports page on Facebook is Behind the Score Sports. I'm Behind the Score Sports on Instagram, TikTok. On Clapper, I'm BTS Sports Gaming, or BTS Sports on there. And then on YouTube, might make a second channel for my gaming on there just to keep the podcast and the game separate, so they all don't get bunched together. So if people want to like more than the other, they don't have to go searching through both to find what they're looking for. But I hope you guys will enjoy the journey as I go on here. It's going to be a lot of work, but I do appreciate all the kind words, support, and appreciation for what I'm doing. There's a lot of great people in this world and a lot that I've met over the last year. But it's a lot to do with my friends and family as well. They've supported me through a whole lot through my life and different adventures I've been on. But this is one I'm definitely going to be putting my money and time into. But I'd also like to hopefully take this experience and be able to grow a merchandise kind of collection as well. But we'll see how it goes along the way. But one of the first items, as everybody knows from the interview, first thing to add to my collection is my Sam bat. It actually has Behind the Score Sports here. Going to be looking into definitely figuring out how to put all this stuff together, but definitely purchase more things as I go. Do some more unveilings of jerseys and stuff hopefully as it comes in, and with some deals, and maybe I could get some other things as well. If anybody knows of any sports stuff that comes up, let me know. Like I said, I'm definitely into anything and growing my audience as I can. But this isn't only just for me. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy doing this for the fans out there. But this is a big thing for you guys. I also have a group, Behind the Score Sports, on Facebook. I made it up for fans of the page. You guys can go in there and do your own chirping each other and putting your own memes and different posts in there. So if you want to check that out and join that, it gives the fans their say and allows them to feel a part of this whole thing and what we're doing here. I also don't mind giving out, having people on the podcast. Like I said, I did the Zoom interview with Sam Batts, with Kevin there. I'm also in talks to get Korean Gaming onto my podcast to talk about her adventures of gaming and how far she's come so far since starting. So watch for that. But definitely just growing this as we go. And hope you all join along. Have fun with it as well. And like I said, if you want on the podcast, let me know, and we could talk some sports and just have a good old time. So, anyways, I'll end it there as it's now at 40 minutes. But I just wanted to say great thanks. Preview some hockey stuff. I can't wait to get talking about Seattle as well as the expansion draft comes up. I do believe next month sometime. I'm not quite sure on the date, but and then free agency in July. But like I said, drop a like, drop a comment, share away, and just have fun with it as well, because this isn't just for me. I do this for sports fans out there, meet new friends, and just have a thing that we can all have a spot to go and have some fun. So that'll be it. And just remember, it's not always what's in the game, it's also what's behind the score. Thank you and have a great night.